TG Geeks, episode 232, July 29th, 2019. Singing Nurse in Gay LA. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, monsoony, hot Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from the same place.
Okay, then. Well, then, let's move on.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, this time we have singer-songwriter Donovan Holden, who is a fascinating character. You'll see in the interview that we do with him. We're going to have our birthday shout-outs, as always, our featured podcast of the week, and some feedback, as well as some interesting things in our second segment. We got some really exciting things to talk about. Our weekly recap, and then we do our shout-outs as usual. Anything you want to add to that?
No, that pretty much covers it.
Pretty much covers it. All right, well, let's get right to it then. And this time we welcome to the show Donovan Holden, songwriter, musician, recording artist extraordinaire. Welcome to the show, Donovan.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so we are here.
Pete.
Yeah, we're here talking to you because you have just released a new album, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But before that, why don't you tell our listeners who you are and how you got into songwriting, etc. Kind of a quick background so that people can know who you are and be a little more familiar with you, that might inform some of your music.
Sure. I grew up in an era in the 60s and 70s when music was a really big part of my environment growing up, and I just naturally gravitated toward writing songs in my head, in notebooks, and bumping around on different instruments. All my friends ended up being musicians and artists, and it took me a little longer to actually start recording things. I didn't record my first album until 2015. Some of that was just coming to terms with being gay in the southeastern United States, and then moving to Los Angeles. But I've been on, this is my third album in the last 4 years, so
wow.
Everything is rolling now.
So that's pretty good. So you're contemporaries with us. I'll be 60 in January.
And I just turned 58.
So we're
you're
old farts.
Children.
Yes, we're old
Children.
farts.
Yes, children, yeah.
Yeah, what do you...
Childlike
You're
at
a young
heart.
guy.
I always say...
I don't even remember 58.
Oh, dear. I always say, yeah, look at that kid. Anybody under 50 is considered a kid to me anymore, you know. So, yeah, we understand the 60s and 70s. We were just commenting about that the other day, is how much good music came out of the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s. I mean,
even when they're just one-hit wonders, there was still this enormous wealth of fantastic song material that has stood the test of time.
Exactly.
So it's no wonder that it could actually inform your songwriting. In fact, we heard some of your songs earlier today.
Yeah.
And I was kind of marveling at, I mean, there's some really nice pop stuff, but it definitely has its own kind of vibe to it. How did that come about?
Mm-hmm. I guess that, well, I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants from that era. I could spend the rest of the podcast naming names, but there's just a wealth of great songwriters from that era. And I remember sitting down and marveling at like they'd have the lyrics on the album covers back in that era.
Oh yeah.
And I'd kind of take my cue from the structure that I would see there, and then I just I guess it was my own imagination that filled in the blanks. One of the ways that I remembered the music that was in my head was by fixing it to lyrics and writing that in notebooks, since I didn't really know how to write music. But if I wrote lyrics down to match the music, then I'd be able to remember the music when I went back and looked at the words.
Interesting.
So it was kind of a strange process, but it worked.
Hey, you have to do what works. You have to do what works for you. So I just question, because we watched the video for Lunch in Paris, which was just
really,
delightful.
it's charming.
That was charming, yes. And then we went on and watched At the Drive-In, and I just have to
ask. At the drive-in show?
Yeah, I just have to ask, are those home movies of you?
Those are, I'm the cute little kid that stars in those home. Yeah, those are home movies that my father took on a Super 8 camera in the late 50s, early 60s.
Wow.
And I recently put them on, digitized them, and I just got the brainstorm that might be, editing those together in an artfully way might make a good video for that particular song.
It was really great, because I remember those days too. My stepdad had a Super 8 camera in the mid to late 60s, and so it was. We've seen lots and lots and lots of those home movies. I just figured it was your home movies. And that park, was that? I know that the bio that Mona sent to us, your publicist, said that you grew up in Ohio. Was that Cedar Fair or some other?
I know. I think Cedar Point is probably what you're thinking of.
Cedar Point,
Ohio. Yeah, so you can kind of tell that there's footage both in Ohio and in Florida on there. You can kind of see the difference.
Right.
If you see me wearing a coat and out in with the I guess the trees that you would see in Ohio or fall type of weather, those are usually in Ohio. But if you see a palm tree or an ocean, that's
right.
That's usually in Florida. But the park was actually an old-timey park that was in Florida. I don't remember much about that park except from those movies, those home movies.
Interesting.
But I doubt if it still exists.
Yeah, I just kind of wondered
I think the name of it is actually embedded in one of the sequences in the video.
Interesting.
Oh, I'll have to look at that again.
I'll have to look at it again. I tried to look at it real closely, and so I was just wondering. That was fascinating. I like the music to that as well.
Well, I was commenting
the Lunch in Paris. Both.
Yeah, I like them both.
The songs that you have out on YouTube are great.
And yet, the interesting thing about both of those songs is that even though there is some commonality in terms of the musical structure that clearly identifies that this is you, they both sound remarkably unique in their styling. In fact, at one point with Lunch in Paris, there were a couple of moments that really screamed Steely Dan to me. And yet, with at the drive-in, it felt more kind of country and western at points, especially with some of the guitar work. The lead guitar work on that, I mean, because I play guitar and I heard that and my eyebrows shot up and went, there is some really solid playing going on here. I props to you and what you were able to put together. I was very impressed.
Yeah, well, give props to my producer, Patty Pacheco Sanders, who's an old friend of mine. Well, I shouldn't say old. she's an old friend of mine from Florida, and she's responsible for hiring most of the musicians on my albums and helping me with the production and the arrangements there. And we both love Steely Dan. And I think she took some engineering classes from Gary Katz, who was the engineering of Steely Dan. So there's that influence. You guys have good ears. That influence is definitely there.
Well, he has good ears. He's the musician of the two of us. I play the radio, you know.
Yeah,
but nonetheless,
I have to give tremendous props to Patty, because she's the chief cook and bottle washer on my album. She does the production, she does the engineering, and she does a lot of background vocals and even some flute on some of the songs. So she's my secret weapon.
Interesting.
I see. Okay, so she did the background voices for Lunch in Paris, because I heard some nice little. It's like a 3-part female harmony going on at one point. And
that's
that was
me
nice.
on falsetto. That's Patty, and maybe her daughter.
I thought
Holly.
I thought I was hearing your voice in falsetto. Because the timbre of your voice that kind of carried over.
I'm there in falsetto. There are a couple other people there also.
Very nice.
Fascinating. So the most recent album that you have is Brighter Day. So tell us about that album. Tell what spurred that album. What's it about? Is there a theme to it, or is it just a collection of songs? Or just tell us, give us more info.
It is a collection. It is a collection of songs. But when I looked back on my first two albums, I noticed that there were an awful lot of tunes on there. There are a lot of upbeat tunes, but there are also some tunes about death. And I think that comes from me coming through the 80s era with the AIDS crisis or plague, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I lost some really good friends there. So there are definitely some songs on the first two albums that kind of pay tribute to or acknowledge those people. And I wanted, since this is my third album, and I kind of got that somewhat out of my system on the first two, I just wanted to have a more optimistic, positive vibe with this album. So I tried to assemble a group of songs that reflect that wish.
Great. So another thing in the bio, Mona said that you moved obviously from Ohio to Florida, and then in the 80s you moved to Los Angeles. And I thought that was interesting, an interesting time to move to Los Angeles and to be a younger gay man in that city in that era.
Well, I would think that Los Angeles at that time was sort of in one of its heydays. I mean, Los Angeles has had several heydays, I think. But I seem to remember the 70s and 80s being just like, that was the time to be in LA. It seemed to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got here. I was pretty much I was pretty much in the closet in South Florida in the 70s and coming to terms with my sexuality. And when I moved here I came out here with 3 friends who were going to a musician school here.
Oh, cool.
It was called GIT, Guitar Institute of Technology. They were coming to study there, and I came along more to get out of South Florida and to avail myself to a more open scene and explore my sexuality a little bit and maybe even fall in love.
Yeah.
So that's what I came for, and I totally did that. I immersed myself in that scene when I got here. It was right before AIDS started to rear its little head, and so I got to see some of the craziness of the scene here, both the rock and roll scene and the gay scene, and it was a really interesting time.
How much of that time actually informed your creativity?
I think it's all over the place. It's in there. Probably in everything I write.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I mean, it was just coming from a area in South Florida that was pretty laid back and pretty conservative, I guess you would say. Palm Beach County wasn't super conservative, wasn't like redneck country, but compared to Los Angeles, where it was kind of anything goes, anything you want and everything you don't want was all here, all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a culture shock and an eye opener for sure.
Interesting.
Because
all of that informed me.
Yeah, because I'm noticing now that I'm thinking back on the two songs that we heard earlier, it occurred to me that there is a really wonderful sense of nostalgia, and I think America right now, for whatever reason, people are experiencing this sense of nostalgia where we're looking back into our history. I mean, Tarantino's got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood coming out pretty soon, so we're looking back to our the times in Hollywood, Los Angeles, the way it was before the craziness. And I mean, the AIDS craziness, and because I think we maybe there was a loss of innocence that happened to a lot of people at that time. I mean, it was a very dark time. And as I hear these songs, it really seemed that I think that's the thing that I really notice now is that there is this wonderful sense of innocent nostalgia about the material that you've written.
Oh, okay. I mean, I love the music from that era, and I love music now. So I have more affinity for, I guess, some of the older ways of doing things. I like to have guitar solos in my music,
Right,
which has kind of gone the way of the dinosaur now, in a lot of music, a lot of modern music. So I like to. And I like to have a lot of different chord changes when possible, if the song calls for it. And so in that way, my music is old-fashioned, but I don't know. I think in some other ways it's more forward-thinking. I try to make it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed what I heard.
I did too, very much.
So, interesting, another little bio piece that you have met somebody in the early 2000s, and it so happens that you're both in the healthcare arena. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually met him auditioning for a theater company that he helped found, and I met my husband there in 2000, and we've been together ever since, and we were struggling to get, to make ends meet with theater. And I went back to school, got a healthcare degree, and I've been working in that arena to put food on the table. And he followed me about a year later into that field. So that's kind of the way we pay our bills.
Right.
But we are continuing to get into artistic endeavors. We have a web series, What Is My Intention, on YouTube. He's got a couple of graphic novels out. I'm doing my music, and I don't know, that's kind of what we do.
Interesting.
He also did the illustrations for the video for Lunch in Paris.
Oh, I love those.
Those are great. Yeah.
I was going to be one of my next questions.
For us to collaborate.
So what kind of degree did you get? Is that a BSN or a nursing degree or some other?
Yeah, nursing degree. We both got nursing degrees.
Okay. Well, that's kind of leading questions there because we both are in healthcare as well. So
more technical though.
Yeah. He processes claims for an insurance company, and I work for a software company that provides data analytics to hospitals. So
okay.
Yeah. So we're kind of, it's that whole healthcare industry that is so big now. Mm-hmm. And we've been together for 23 years. So
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but yes, it puts food on the table and
Exactly.
keeps a roof over our heads.
Exactly.
Yeah, because this thing isn't making us money.
No, we've made $12 in 5 years, so on the podcast. So we're raking in the money.
Yeah.
That you have a way of expressing yourself, so that's good.
Yeah.
It's just our own little thing.
It's our kind of creative outlet that we actually share because we're both kind of geeky and nerdy, and enjoys.
And one of you plays guitar.
That'd be me. Yeah.
He plays.
guitar.
Yeah, he plays.
Yeah.
Well, if it's an instrument, I like to say if it's an instrument, he knows how to play it or can play it.
And I've sung. I'm also a singer, so and sung actually range from folk music to to singing in formal choruses for symphonies. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go do that to learn more about singing in that context.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because you said something a little while ago that caught my interest. You were talking about interesting chord changes and whatnot. In the time that you've been doing the songwriting, have you noticed an evolution in not just what you write, but how you write?
Yeah, I think the more you do something and the more you have access to professional situations, I think it does absolutely help you progress as a musician. So if you listen to my first album, then you listen to this album, you can hear a pretty marked evolution. Mm-hmm. And just in the writing, in the production, in the players that are on the album, it's all. I think the songs on the first album are pretty good, but I think I wish I could go back and do it over again with what I know now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fully understand that.
It might be fun to do a live album of the songs on that someday.
Have you ever done a live performance?
I'm not a live performer. No, I'm 65. No one wants to see me out on the stage. They want to see,
Oh, I hear that.
Zayn and Justin Bieber and those people. So,
well, have you ever thought about working in it like?
I don't have a song catalog like Paul McCartney does. So I'm going to just go with.
Well, I don't know. Maybe an open mic night.
Actually, if something ever broke out, like Lunch in Paris or something like that, and there was a demand for it, I could probably put something together and go do some live performances. But it would have to be a demand for it.
So I'm thinking like an open mic night. All you need is someone who knows some guitar. You would just reduce down the arrangements. And there you go. 30 minutes an open mic, and there you go. It could be interesting. You never know.
True. That's true.
So
yeah, that's true. Maybe when I retire from nursing, then maybe I will have the energy to do that.
Exactly. we keep hoping to win the lottery.
Yeah, that's our hope. Yeah.
Because we will never be able to retire.
No.
There's a lot of people where I work that pay a lot of attention to that lottery.
Oh yeah, we do too. Yeah, we're putting a lot of stock into that one. So with all of that, and with the music that you've produced, how can people learn more about you? I mean, do you have any kind of social media presence, be it on Twitter, Facebook, and how can people actually look for your music?
They can go to donovanholden.com, and you'll find a link to all my social media there. You'll find a link to all the places that my music is available. It's available on all the different streaming platforms, whether it's Apple or Amazon or Tidal or Spotify. It's there. It's available for you. Just look up my name, Donovan Holden. I'm on Facebook. Just put in my name. I'll come up. I think it's at Holden Donovan on Twitter. I forget the exact Instagram, but I'm pretty easy to find there. On SoundCloud, I'm there. YouTube, I'm there. So you can either go to my website and get a link, or you can go directly to any of those sites and find me.
Yeah, it looks like Instagram is donovan.silverechomusic. And
thank you.
And we've got Twitter. Twitter is
at Holden Donovan.
At Holden Donovan, and then Facebook, all of that other stuff. So, and then you've got a YouTube channel as well, Donovan Holden. He's got two of his, three videos up there. One is the Lunch in Paris, which is delightful,
yes.
And at the drive-in show, is that? Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is up there, which is just it's it's nostalgic. I loved it.
Oh, I did too.
And then there's a third one that you've written some music for, some paintings by I can't remember now what the name was. Oh shoot!
That is actually Sue Miller. That is the title song for my single. And my producer's sister, Sue Miller, she did the album cover for A Brighter Day.
Oh, okay.
And she is a very talented artist. And so we put together a collage of some of her paintings and put it together with the music for that video. And there are also a couple other videos that you can find on my website and probably on YouTube. There's Dinner for Four for my first album, and also two versions of a song called Bad Boys Black Leather. There's a rock and roll version of it, and then there's also kind of a dance version of that, a remix.
Great. This has been really fascinating. Thank you for being on the show with us, Donovan.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
This is Carrie Merrill, author of The Secret of the Hooked X, and you're listening to The Two Gay Geeks.
Well, that was a fascinating interview with Mr. Donovan Holden.
It was quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, so we got a few birthdays here for a few selected birthdays for July 29th through August the 4th, 2019. July 29th, the Black Dahlia was actually known as Elizabeth Short. That was her real name, but she was called the Black Dahlia for various reasons. She was murdered in 1947 at the age of 22. Oh my God, I was reading about it. It's just a gruesome murder. My Lord. She was seen at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles just a little bit before the last place she was seen, the Crown Grill Lounge, about half a mile away. And then she was discovered several days later in a park, dismembered.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Well, that's
among other things.
That's a nasty way to start things off here.
It was horrible, horrible. Anyway, and you know, many stories and films and whatnot have been made about it. She was quite infamous or famous now. Also on July 29th, Will Wheaton.
Got a comment that we actually had, we kind of sort of had lunch adjacent with him a few years back.
Yeah, when he was here at
it was at the time Phoenix Comic-Con, and we were dining at Arrogant Butcher, and he walked in and at Arrogant Butcher, and he was sort of like catty-cornered us.
Yeah,
we were at a table, and he was sitting in a booth.
Yeah, I was sitting about 10 feet away from him.
And I have to admit, I've become such a huge fan of his because of his honesty regarding depression and anxiety that he's been dealing with. And I think he's become sort of the face for that, and maybe started a little revolution, possibly in terms of making that such an open and easier to talk about conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, so also Ken Burns' birthday on July 29th. He's known as a famed film documentarian, and also the Ken Burns effect, which is...
I was going to say that. That's what I know of.
Zooming in and panning on an object. Geddy Lee.
Of Rush.
Yep. Peter Jennings. He was the ABC newsman for 22 years on ABC, World News Tonight. He he was so moved by the events of 9/11 that he became a U.S. citizen. He was a Canadian citizen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he became a U.S. citizen, and he died of lung cancer in 2005. Oh. It was really a sad day. Clara Bow, also on July 29th. She was an actress in the 20s and 30s and was supposed to be the inspiration for Betty Boop.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And then Gail Simone, who is a comic book artist and writer. Her comic book was DC Birds of Prey and Batgirl.
Ah, yes. Those I do know.
And also on July 29th, Theda Bara. She was a silent screen star, earning the nickname The Vamp for the vampire because of her femme fatale roles that she did. And lastly, on July 29th, a friend of ours, Carrie Merrill, who we just heard from just a moment ago. She's written a number of books, the Angel Blade series. Pick it up. It's a young adult, interesting series. You should pick that up. July 30th, Arnold.
The Governor.
The Dominator. The Dominator.
Dominator?
The Dominator?
I said the Governor.
The Governor. Yes.
Or ex-Governor.
Yeah, ex-Governor. And then the Terminator.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Please don't.
Yeah. Also on July 30th, Lisa Kudrow and Christopher Nolan. I had to put him on here just because he is a famed director. Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, I know you don't want to say anything about Christopher Nolan. I heard that.
Now, hang on a minute. I love what he did with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
I'm just not crazy about his Batman movies.
Right.
Yeah, and I know that makes me a heretic. But I thought what he did for 2001 was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, the restoration was really incredible. Also on July 30th, Henry Ford, Alton Brown, and Carol Strachan. Mr. Home.
Mr. Home. And also Lurch at one time.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of times.
Yep. And Francis Delatour and Peter Bogdanovich. I had something else in there. And good friend of ours, Brendan Mahoney. July 31st, J.K. Rowling, Ted Cassidy.
The original
The
Lurch.
original Lurch.
That's a little coincidental, I think.
I think not. Also, Richard Griffiths, Dean Cain, Facebook friend Eric Weil, and Facebook friend Brad Jensen. August 1st, Jason Momoa, Claudius.
I thought his
Claudius.
first name was I.
Jason.
No, Claudius.
Claudius? Oh, yeah, Yeah. It is.
I thought that was his first name. Or at least
Claudius the first.
Yeah.
They had it mixed up. They had
is that it?
Backwards.
Oh, I thought it was like, maybe he had a name like Ignatius or something like that, and then they can I period, like an initial Claudius.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'll stop now.
Yes, please. I will have to say that I watched that series with when it was running on PBS back in the 70s.
Oh my God!
And my God, Derek Jacobi did a fabulous job. It was a great series. Ouch. Sorry about that. Also on August 1st, Jerry Garcia, Robert Todd Lincoln, who was the son of Abraham Lincoln.
Are you okay now?
Yes, I'm okay now. Herman Melville, who the start of Moby Dick. Call Me Ishmael. Yes. Dom DeLuise, Francis Scott Key, and friends Kristen Naomi, Fred Kurtzweg, Steve Wales, Devaney Penn, and Phil Chavez. Happy birthday, Phil. August the 2nd, Peter O'Toole, Joanna Cassidy, who we just saw the other night.
As we watched Blade Runner again.
watched Blade Runner in honor of the passing of, well, not in honor, but
to remember
Rutger Hauer, who passed.
Oddly enough, in the year 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little cosmic.
Very. Too bad it wasn't November. He couldn't hold on till November.
Oh, please.
That would have been too cosmic. Also, Carol O'Connor, Jack Warner, Edward Furlong.
Who's coming back for the new Terminator film.
Exactly.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. And Wes Craven, who actually, I think when it was announced, I got his death, I got a message when we were in the middle of Disney World, I think it was. So it was kind of interesting. Just kind of one of those bizarre things. We were out right after the fireworks cruise that we did, and there was a message popped up. Wes Craven had died. Also on August 2nd, Facebook friend Kyle Madsen and Eamon Saman.
We'll be hearing feedback from in a little bit.
August 3rd, Martha Stewart.
Yes. Oh, do I have to do the bit? Who's Martha Stewart?
She writes
Picture books.
About gracious living.
About gracious living.
And she does wonderful dried flower arrangements. I adore her. August 3rd, also, Tony Bennett and Martin Sheen, whose actual name is Ramon Gerardo Antonio Estevez. August 4th, Louis Armstrong, Louis Vuitton, Helen Thomas, who is the Grande Dame of the White House Press Corps, 57 years with UPI.
Good grief.
And she was the first female officer of the National Press Club. And lastly, on August 4th, Mr. Robert Tanser, who is former chairman of the board of Arizona Opera. And
among many things.
Oh my gosh, Bob and Shoshana are just wonderful, wonderful people.
And he has they have both had quite the life.
Yes. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
And things.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama for those raisin things.
Well, you were on a business trip, so I actually went into the studio. I drove up there and sat in on their last episode.
Oh, yeah?
And
did they play the raisin things?
No, but they didn't have to because Craig kept talking about it.
Oh.
Apparently, it's become it's
the new meme.
Well, it really is a new meme because there was some feedback.
Oh dear!
And someone was like, "So tell me about this in things. I don't get it." And Craig had to kind of point that person to, "Oh, you need to listen to this particular episode."
Yeah.
So that episode that we are in is definitely gone down in infamy.
Yep. It is
like a Hindenburg.
Well, yeah, we were there, and Menengay was there, and it was like. Raisin thing.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode derail so fast.
It was great. Check out. I'm sure they probably have it on the chuckchat.com at Technorama.
Oh, I'm sure that. Well, it's got to be
bookmarked. I'm sure somewhere.
It has to be now because that episode is definitely one for the ages.
Oh Lord, yes. Here we go.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Oh, God, no, I got something caught in my throat.
Yay.
Oh, scratchy throat. Yeah, the weather's not been too great.
It's time for feedback.
Yes. So we have a little bit of feedback here. And to start things off, this is in regards to an article that we ran a couple months back celebrating 5 years of tggeeks.com.
Yeah.
And we got a few things here. First, from Patricia Chica, everybody's favorite publicist as well as a filmmaker in her own, outstanding filmmaker in her own right.
Exactly.
She writes, "Happy 5th anniversary to my beloved friends from Phoenix, Arizona, the TG Geeks of TG Squared Studios. I'm very blessed to have them in my life and career. True supporters of independent filmmakers and LGBTQ creators."
Yay, thank you.
Thank you. And I got a comment from Hamish Downey. He says, "Congratulations. This is huge. You're going from strength to strength. So glad to be a small part of the team. Here's to another 5. A small part. Hamish,
you are a very
you're
big
a huge part
of this TG Geeks family. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for being a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Then he got a comment from Iman Saman, and he writes, "Congratulations. Here's to many more." And then a comment from Hicks, Michael Hickerson, and he contributes to our website whenever he has the opportunity. And he says, now to get work on your first decade.
Oh, dear.
Glad to be part of the team. Well, glad to have you here
thank
with
you.
us, Hicks.
Yeah.
And I'm still hoping that maybe we can do a collaboration like we used to do in another show years back. And then got finally a comment on this article from Dottie Crone, and she simply says, congrats. And
thank you, Dottie.
Thank you, Dottie. Then, this is in regards to TG Geeks chat with Barbara and Brian Dillon of Fanbase Press. This was a fun conversation that we
it was
had during
great.
WhedonCon.
Yeah. Barbara and Brian are such wonderful people. They are
adore
just...
I adore
I do
them.
too.
They're just fantastic. And I got a comment from Brian. He says, listen in on a wonderfully charming and intimate discussion about publishing, how to find work/life balance, and more between Keith and Ben of TG Squared Studios podcast and myself and fellow Fanbase Press co-founder Barbara Dillon, recorded at WhedonCon 2019. That was really one of the best conversations we've had.
It was. It really was. They're always fun.
Well, they are, but I think we got to some really good stuff.
Yeah.
There was some really great content.
It was great.
And great topics that got brought up in that. And then our final is, and this is in regards to Ben's breakdown, Toy Story 4 is like a defective toy out of the box. Ouch. Got a comment from Corey Nelson. She writes, glad you wrote this review of Toy Story 4. While I know you only have 3.5 out of 5 sporks, the original word on this film coming out worried me that it was Toy Story 3.1. Sounds like it is different.
Yeah.
I credit Toy Story 3.
Oh, my God.
Well, who didn't?
Who didn't? Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't, then you're not human. It was clever, emotional, and filled with great jokes. It had it all. Looking forward to see this installment soon. A must in a theater.
Yes. And that's it for the comments. You can leave a comment on our Facebook page on any of our content, whether it's on the Facebook page, on Twitter, Instagram, or on tggeeks.com itself, directly on the article. And you can receive a shout-out on a future episode. We also have a listener feedback line.
That's getting dusty.
Yes, you are very important to us. If you want to leave a message, we'll play that on air. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. I think we have an interesting interview to run next week. I think we're going to talk. We've talked to Mark Ellis, who was instrumental in the genesis of He-Man. So
this was really interesting.
It was really fascinating. And Mark is a really great guy.
He is, and we so ran out of time.
We've known him forever, and then it came out that he had actually done that, and it was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's going to be probably next week what we're going to run. If you are in transition or have already transitioned and are in crisis, or you know of someone in crisis, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by specially trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to the translifeline.org for more information about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Okay, got some interesting things we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Got a review out for the entire last season of Stranger Things.
Yes. Scoops ahoy.
Well, yeah, Scoops ahoy. Did you know that somebody at San Diego Comic-Con, there were a couple of people that did some Scoops ahoy costumes?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The two
They had to
characters.
put that together really quickly because
And
that
they look really good 'cause-
aired just before Comic-Con.
Yeah, it did. So kudos to them. But anyway, Stranger Things. I've already got a review out there on the website.
Non-spoiler.
It's a very non-spoilery review,
And we don't really want to do any spoilers, but I will
not
just
for
say,
now. I mean,
yeah,
maybe in a couple of
weeks.
months.
Yeah.
So, because I think we like to give like a 3-month waiting period.
Yeah.
But just initial thoughts. I thought it was a fantastic series. I was a little leery. Not leery, but a little concerned that, how many times can he go to this well? But apparently the well is very deep.
Exactly. Wow. It was just incredible. I mean, those kids are growing up. Oh my God.
They really are.
They're just growing up.
They're using that to their advantage.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like you're trying to hold back time in terms of the narrative.
No.
I mean, you're actually using the fact that they're aging as part of the story.
Yeah.
Which I think works out quite well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought the acting was really solid, but the one that really stands out for me, and I said this in review, the young kid who plays Dustin.
Yeah.
He was my favorite this year.
Oh yeah.
Because he's really shown some incredible acting chops.
Yeah.
He really has. There's some really marvelous deadpan delivery that comes from him.
Yeah.
That I just loved, and
he gets to curse a lot.
He gets to curse a bit.
It's funny.
It is funny, but the thing that really got me is that people may not know, but he's been a singer.
Yep.
Since he was a child. He was in a production of Les Miserables, the musical from years back, and he actually gets to sing in this, and he's really got some good. He's got some really good singing ability there. I was very, very impressed. But overall, and the mall, that mall.
Oh my Lord! Wow.
I found out that mall's in Atlanta.
Yeah, it took me back to, my teenage days.
Well, yeah, it is such a throwback to the heyday of malls in the mid '80s. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it. We both kind of geeked out when we saw Sam Goody.
Oh yeah, it's like it's non-existent anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. Virtually none of that exists
and
anymore.
the corn, what was the corn dog on a stick?
Dog on a stick.
Yeah. Oh my God. And the Orange Julius. And,
yeah.
Oh my! All the things.
Those things that were such staples of '80s malls.
Exactly.
Malls still exist to some to some degree, but it's not like it was back then.
Yep.
So that was nice, and I will say the entire series did take a very unexpected direction, which I liked a great deal.
Yeah.
I was very, very happy with it. I think it's a very strong series, and if anybody has any doubts about it, check it out still.
Great season.
Yes.
And we were, a couple of weeks ago, we were over at Disneyland to celebrate your birthday.
Yes.
And you had been saying you didn't want to go to Disneyland because Star Wars Land or Galaxy's
Edge was opening and
was going to be a madhouse.
I really expected it to be a madhouse, and then about a week leading up, we had planned to go because we had an invitation to go to a book event. So we thought, okay, and that was the day after my birthday. So I thought, okay, well, let's just go anyway. But the week leading up to our trip down there, I started seeing stories that Disneyland was very undercrowded.
Yes,
that the park was actually rather empty.
Yeah, it was interesting. We got there right as the gates opened and didn't really wait for anything in Galaxy's Edge.
There was a bit of a line for Smuggler's Run. That was like half an hour, 40 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And I will say...
But it was constantly moving, so it wasn't like
always
we were just
moving.
standing.
We got some pictures of it on our Facebook page, if anybody wants to see that.
Yeah.
But what was your takeaway on just the land itself?
I thought it was great. The attention to detail was absolutely incredible. They got this one right.
Yeah. Well, Disney, when it comes to developing the lands, I've yet to see them have a fail.
Yeah.
Seriously. They've kind of missed the boat on some other areas. Was there anything that you didn't necessarily care for?
No, not really.
I've got one. Just one.
What was that?
No, actually two. I take that back, two. First, I remember when we first started talking about it, there was all this attempt to make this land so 100% immersive that it'd be like, it's going to be like Westworld, you know?
Well, they had to.
But obviously that was such a pie in the sky thinking. There was no way they could do it. I knew it was a terrible idea. And I kind of wish they had not made that announcement.
Right.
That they were thinking of doing it.
Yeah.
Because they had to have regular security guards there.
Well, they had to hype it, you know.
Yeah, and that was the one thing. And the other thing that I didn't care for, and it's along the same vein, is the merchandising.
Yeah.
I mean, because you don't want to go. You're supposed to be at this trading post on some planet, and you go into what's supposed to be a shop that is indigenous to this planet, and you see merchandise that has Star Wars logos written all over it. And it's like, okay, man, that really takes you out of your, out of the environment.
But they are a merchandise machine.
I know.
So
and interesting thing is, we ran into some friends later, Michael and Della Cohen and Joanna, and Michael said, they had originally intended not to do that, but at the last minute, at the 11th hour, they changed their minds on that one.
Yeah. So
again, only because I knew what they had intended to do, even though I knew it was a bad idea.
Yep.
I'm a little disappointed in just those areas, but those are such small, tiny takeaways.
Right.
Everything else I thought was amazing. And what did you think of Smuggler's Run?
Oh, I thought it was incredible. It was really well done. I thought it was very well done.
That is currently their only attraction ride, Millennium Falcon type ride, and wow,
it was great. It really was.
I loved the fact that it was that's an immersive ride.
Yep.
I mean, because you get on board and you have a role to play. I liken it to combining Star Tours with Mission Space at Epcot.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. And one funny moment, there was a girl who's supposed to be activating the ship, sending it into hyperspace. At certain given moments, and she was so captivated by what was happening on the screen that she wasn't doing it. And the person sitting next to her kept reaching over and pulling the lever, which I thought was hilarious.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it's a great, long ride.
Yeah, it was very long, and the motion simulator was not too bad.
Not too bad at all. It really wasn't.
It was great.
It was a very well done ride, and just the entire theming of what's supposed to be the interior of the Falcon was beautiful.
Yeah, it really was.
Beautiful.
It was great.
Galaxy's Edge is definitely a really, really cool place. I was very happy with it. I love the way it looks.
If you have an opportunity, please check it out.
Yes, and it's opening next month at Florida.
Yeah. So I want to get on a soapbox here for a moment. Our Twitter account, the Two Gay Geeks, has been limited because the ratio of followers to following is out of whack according to their standards. Unfortunately, we are in the entertainment and business, shall we say, with this podcast and our website. So we follow a lot of entertainment companies and a lot of celebrities that will never follow us back. So I don't know how they can. It's very frustrating. I'm very, very frustrated by this, that they have limited our account. We cannot follow anybody currently until we have more people following us. So please go follow us, the Two Gay Geeks, at
Twitter.
The Two Gay Geeks on Twitter, so that we can start following other people.
And maybe we can get verified then?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because that's rubbish.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the thing is that if we talk to somebody new on the podcast or we write an article about somebody new, we can't follow them on Twitter right now. So we're going to be keeping a list of people we need to follow. So that's my rant about Twitter. So
Anyway.
As everybody knows, we're huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please buy their stuff if you see them at a book fair or a con or a whatever. Talk about their stuff. Tell people about their stuff. Chat with them. have cash for them when you buy their stuff. Please support independent creators. CocoCon returns for a second year Labor Day weekend at the Doubletree Hotel in Metro Center in Phoenix. Come on down and enjoy the folks and festivities. We will be there and doing our popular concast as well as socializing. Go to cococon.org. That's COKOCON.org. Can I not say this ever? Joshua Tree Feeding Program. Ding! Ding! It provides nourishment to low-income HIV-positive residents of Maricopa County. They provide balanced meals from their pantry, and it is a pantry where the clients choose what they want, very much like a grocery store. They have fresh produce, canned goods, breads, just a little bit of this, cat food, dog food, everything that you could possibly need. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. They have the new Pearl program that's $30 a month, and you get a little recognition and a pin for your efforts. Go to jtfp.org. Has our weekly review.
Yes, starting off Sunday, July 21st, there's Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 58 from Tommy Cannon. On the 22nd, we had TG Geeks episode number 231. On Tuesday the 23rd, Ben's Breakdown, Stranger Things 3 is a slow horror ride in all things 80s. And then on Wednesday the 24th, Ben's Gay Book Breakdown, Breaking Tradition is a true guilty pleasure with a surprisingly strong message. On Thursday, the 25th, Ben's Gay Breakdown, On the Other Hand, Death, now that's a movie, is a tricky mystery with a noirish feel. On Friday the 26th, News Sushi number 72, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond from Hamish Downey. And Hamish strikes again on Saturday, this time 5 questions with Steve Kopandi, and that is what we ran this last week.
You can find all this at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. Please visit and comment.
And we got some shout-outs we want to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for republishing our content from time to time. That comes from the human Arkle, Brian Weber. You can find the Post-Dispatch News by going to Twitter and looking for Brian Weber. He is known as Arkle. You can find him at searching ARKLE. That did not make the slightest bit of sense. Thank you very much. And then he also is on YouTube with a shameless cash grab in his 3rd season. All you need to do is go to youtube.com/Arkle Studios. That's all one word, Arkle Studios. 3, we want to give a shout out to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. We must give a special thanks to their moderators for when I asked them if we could share there, they simply said, share away, and share away we do. And their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And we must also make mention of The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share all of our stuff there. And their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, we must give our most heartfelt thanks and appreciation to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we are found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content, their 24-hour geeky internet radio station celebrating 10 years on the air. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to each other. Peace.
Houdini!